And we are live.
And welcome into Gator Bytes on the 1010XL.com podcast network, also being simulcast on the Florida Gator 1010XL Facebook page. Today's Gator podcast is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. For the highest quality care, you can rely on Southeast Orthopedic Specialists for any orthopedic injury or concern. Be sure to check out their website, se-ortho.com. He is Graham Marsh. I'm the hacker Ryan Green. You are Florida Gator fans. And Graham, I guess my question to you to start, it's been 11 days. Are you still in the euphoria of the Florida Gator National Championship?
I woke up a national champion, Hack.
How many
I woke
times
up
have
a
you
national champion. If you're listening to this podcast right now and you're presumably a Gator fan, you woke up a national champion. When you made your coffee this morning, you made national championship coffee this morning. When you got out of bed and you got in the shower, you took a national championship shower. You put on your national championship shirt today. Everybody, you are a national champion if you're listening to this podcast. Just understand that and relish in it
I,
forever.
I've found that over the last 11 days, if I'm in a bad mood, I just turn on the last, 3 minutes of the Houston game and
Yep,
I
that's right.
instantly get into a better mood.
You just watch Alex Condon diving for the last loose ball on the floor and the horn going off. Ugh. Heck, they won the national championship.
And the way they did it was unbelievable. But that 24-hour clock has turned quickly because I want to get to spring football. Um, let's begin with some departure news, maybe. We figured Alex Condon, he's going to test the waters. He's leaving his college eligibility open. Ruben Chinyalu yesterday does the same thing. I was kind of surprised by that. Chinyalu is not going to get drafted. So I guess he's going to go for the sole intention of being told what he needs to work on, but he's not going to be drafted. So I would imagine I'd be shocked if he's not back. Condon, I think there's a bigger question there.
Chinyalu's going for constructive criticism.
Right, right.
Condon, but the Frangie show talked about this yesterday. Hayes brought it up, and I totally agree. And I said this on Dylan and I show the other day. I think Hack, if Condon had torn up the tournament, and he because in tell me if you disagree. I think during the regular season, for the most part, and certain guys have their games here and there and everything, but I think by and large, for the most part, obviously Walter Clayton Jr. was their best player. I thought Alex Condon was most of the time typically their second best player on any given night during the regular season. Obviously, that was not the case in the NCAA tournament. You factor in the ankle clearly wasn't right, and you could see it in his face, man. The moment was just a little bit too big. So, and I think with NBA scouts, the last image of Alex Condon is almost looking like he had the yips those last couple of games. So I find it hard to believe that they're going to tell him, hey, man, you're lottery pick type level right now. And I think unless he gets that type of feedback, he's going to be in orange and blue next season, in my opinion.
I actually think Hauk's a better NBA prospect because Hauk can
100%.
shoot.
I totally agree. I
Yeah.
totally agree.
If you're 6'10" guys in the NBA 20 years ago maybe didn't need to shoot, you got to shoot now. If you're a 6'10" NBA guy, how many 6'10" NBA guys don't have a perimeter game? Very, very, very few. So Condon's got to come back to work on his jump shot, his threes. Again, I'd be surprised. And I see a lot of mock drafts that have him in round two. Again, why would you leave to go into round two, not guaranteed money, when theoretically you can come back with NIL to Florida, make something, work on your game, kind of what Will Richard and Walter Clayton did, and you see how it elevated their games. And now you have the knowledge that maybe the best guard in the portal and Xavier Lee is coming to Florida. Admittedly, and look, I love all these Gator fans that are just over the moon about this guy. I had no idea who Xavier Lee was 3 weeks ago. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I had no clue who this guy was. But I've watched a couple of videos of him. I saw some YouTube highlights. He's a good player. And to me, Graham, my thing is, all right, well, Kansas wanted him, and Rick Pitino and St. John's wanted him, and maybe most importantly, Todd Golden wanted him. And Todd Golden's earned enough credit with me to trust his decision making. And the fact that Golden wanted him and got him, I think, is a big thing. You pair him with Aberdeen. Hand-locked and Hauk, theoretically Chinyalu, possibly Condon. Florida's going to be pretty good again this upcoming season.
I don't know if you know this hack, but when Gator basketball wins national titles, they like to do it in twos.
Well,
So
I don't know about that, but I mean, this Gator team was incredible, and you could argue it took four miraculous comebacks, one comeback that likely wouldn't happen 9 times out of 10 against Texas Tech to win the title. I mean, I know people want Florida to be good next year. I want it to be good next year too, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're a national champion this year. Um, as long as you don't embarrass yourself in 2025 and 2026, which I don't think they will. I'm actually really excited to see Aberdeen, Lee, Houck, Hanlocked, and they're going to be good. Don't mistake what I'm saying. They're going to be good. It's just very, very, very hard to win a national championship.
I do agree. I think more holistically from the team, I believe personally that, next January, February, March, I think we're going to be talking about Thomas Houck as one of the best players in all of college basketball, like literally a top 5, top 10 player. So I think they're going to have that going. And I also think the main, and if Xavier Lee ends up being unbelievable on his own, awesome. But to your point, I mean, everybody, like, I don't know who Xavier Lee was 2 months ago. To me, though, where it is going to be really, really beneficial for them is, from what I see, he's a little bit more of a ball dominant point guard that's going to command the offense a little bit, which should allow, in theory, Denzel Aberdeen to play the 2 and be more of a playmaker, which is where I think he thrives, instead of having to run the offense.
Yeah.
I think Denzel Aberdeen in that role can be lethal. Because one thing I love about Denzel Aberdeen is kind of the opposite of Alex Condon, where you could tell them there is no moment too big for Denzel Aberdeen. He doesn't care if he hadn't played in the last 20 minutes. He doesn't care if it's a national championship game or if it's a regular season game against Oklahoma in February. He doesn't care what he's doing. That dude's attacking you. He's coming at your neck every time. He's pulling up when he's got an open shot, and but kind of like Walt, he can be a little turnover happy when he starts playing with his food too much and that kind of thing. So having a true point guard next to him that can really handle and command things, so that Denzel can kind of just go do his thing, that should make that backcourt really, really fun to watch.
And they need at least one more guard. You got some freshmen coming in. The rumor is, I guess, A.J. Brown from Ohio averaged 13 points a game last year, was an all-freshman Mid-American Conference player. His brother is on the Gator basketball roster, Isaiah Brown. A.J. Brown's from Orlando. Again, I didn't know who this guy was a month ago, but I've seen a little bit of him. Looks fine. I mean, if you can average 13 points a game, Mid-American Conference, all freshman team, he's obviously got some skills. All they need is a couple of guards to eat up some minutes, because primarily it'll be Lee and Aberdeen. Klopsar will eat up some minutes. Maybe a couple of those freshmen, Cornelius Ingram's kid, will eat up some minutes. If you get another kid like A.J. Brown, that'll help. But primarily your backcourt next year is going to be Aberdeen and Lee, and they just need to get some rest every once in a while.
Need some shooting to come off the bench. Hopefully a little bit of playmaking to come off the bench. Some sparks. Outside of Kloves, you need some defense to come off the bench too. You need a perimeter guard.
Sam Alexis is interesting. I would have thought he would have entered the portal by now, and he hadn't yet.
Me too.
I
think he's going to wait and see if Condon ends up leaving. If Condon comes back, which I think he will, he's not going to see. Alexis will not see the floor.
I mean, Alexis, if Condon does leave, Alexis is a good fallback, because Alexis, when he was healthy, wasn't terrible. I mean, he was a decent player.
He wasn't terrible offensively, but he left a lot to be desired on the defensive end. He was also the one big that didn't seem to really, really out hustle people for boards, and that bothered me a lot.
Yeah. We'll see.
You got to factor in, Hack, assuming Condon comes back, the entire front court is back. A front court that he struggled to see any minutes with, and the big 7'9" monster Olivier Ryu is going to get a little bit of time. I don't know if he's going to play a ton or be a big contributor, but if he can do anything at 7'9", they're going to find 5 minutes a game for him.
Yeah.
So that makes it even harder for Alexis to see the court.
I think you're
I just
right.
don't really know where he fits in.
Well, I think you're right about Alexis. He's going to wait to see what Condon does.
Yeah, 100%.
And if Condon leaves, Alexis probably stays. If Condon comes back, Alexis probably goes. All
I
right.
agree.
So more on Gator basketball as events warrant. Again, 11 days in, we're still basking in the glow of a national championship. Today's Gator Bytes podcast is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialist. Again, for the highest quality care, you can rely on Southeast Orthopedic Specialist for any orthopedic injury or concern. Their website, se-ortho.com. And you can listen to the good Dr. Kevin Murphy on Thursday mornings on 1010XL with Jeff and Dan on the drill for his weekly analysis of injuries in the world of sports. Gator spring ball wrapped up this past weekend. Before we get to on the field, I guess it's good news that reportedly DJ Lagway will, quote, begin throwing in a couple of weeks. I thought the Lagway stuff was handled pretty bad by the Gators as far as, information coming out, addressing the issues, letting us know exactly what's going on, all kind of rumors that are rampant. It would have been very easy for them to just say, hey, here's what's going on, so there's no need to speculate anymore. For some reason, they chose not to do that. We'll see if Lagway starts throwing in a couple of weeks. That's what was said on Saturday after the spring game. But again, I thought the way Florida handled that whole thing left a lot to be desired.
Yeah, you don't think that, Hack? That is a fact. That's not your opinion. That is a fact. They did not handle this well. Billy Napier has always been weird about injuries ever since he's been on campus, and college coaches in general are always weird. But when it comes to, I think you're going to agree with me when I say this here, Hack. When it comes to the player on your roster that is the only reason you're still employed by the University of Florida, probably could have behooved you to be a little more upfront. Because it's just like, come on, man. Because, and Mark Long, who good friend of this radio station, and came on these airwaves, and I believe he was talking to you, wasn't he?
Yeah,
About
it was on with Hayes and I when Frank was on vacation.
talking about this is something that he's eventually going to need surgery for. Well, if that's true, forget the Gasparilla Bowl. The day after the Florida State game, why did he not get surgery?
Mm-hmm.
If that's true,
It's
I mean,
puzzling.
it's just a weird situation, Hack. And look, in a perfect world, in a perfect world, the season kicks off and Lagway is on fire like he's always been. He's doing the magical thing he does where every 50-yard pass he hits guys dead in the hands, and we're not even talking about this, and we're thinking back and having a laugh. I hope that's what happens. But if it's the first couple of games and he's off and doesn't look quite right, and not even that, take away like the shoulder injury itself, like if you just think about, you got these freshman receivers, man. You got rapport to build with them, chemistry to build with them. Like Eugene Wilson missed most of the year. Like you got to shake rust off with him. Like the main two guys that Lagway really did a lot of work with last year at receiver, they're both gone. Like you got new dudes here, and they're really good players. But you got new dudes who you got to build some chemistry with, and spring ball would have been a great time to start that. Obviously, Lagway's health is the number one most important thing. You got to make sure that shoulder's right. But just a weird situation. I truthfully hope that we're in week 3, week 4, week 5, and this is something we can have a good laugh about. But right now, it's still just a little bit puzzling, and I agree with you. Billy Napier did not handle this well whatsoever.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I'm not sure if we're going to be laughing about anything week 3, week 4, week 5. That's at LSU, at Miami, home Texas, at Texas A&M. That is a brutal portion of the schedule. So they're going to have 2 games to get right, the Long Island game and presumably the USF game before you really dive into the meat of the schedule. Quickly, Dallas Wilson and Jacoby Jackson, probably the 2 stars of the Orange and Blue spring game last week. Your thoughts on Dallas Wilson? What do you have, 10 for like a $1.90? Again, it's a spring game. It is what it is. It's a
Too
glorified
tough.
scrimmage.
Too tough.
Yeah, but Jacoby Jackson as well, a 90-yard touchdown run. We've been so much talking about Jaden Ball. that you forget Jackson was a pretty nice player last year as well.
I'll start with Jackson. I'll finish with Wilson. Jackson, I think, might be the most underrated player on the entire Florida Gators roster.
Yeah.
That dude can play. Every time he gets the ball, he makes plays. That was true last year. That's true right now in the spring game. I think that's going to be true this year. I love Jacoby Jackson's game. That dude, he hasn't gotten to be the starter. A lot of times he doesn't get enough carries as he probably wishes he would. He never complains. That dude just shows up in balls every time. Um, and he's kind of a good example. Like everyone likes to talk about the Nico Iamaleavas of the world and what these guys are doing and what's wrong with college football. These dudes are greedy and just about themselves. But dudes like Jacoby Jackson don't get talked about, man. That dude just shows up and just balls every time. And he's a great teammate. He's been a great addition to this locker room, and he never gets the praise he deserves. So I want to take a moment to give Jacoby Jackson his flowers. Dallas Wilson hack. Dallas Wilson is a living, breathing embodiment of why Dan Mullen got fired and why Billy Napier got hired to be the head coach of the University of Florida. Towards the end of Dan Mullen's tenure, what did we always talk about? When Florida plays Georgia, when Florida plays Alabama, when Florida plays these big-time programs, it looks like Florida does not belong on the same field, and that should not be the case. Because Florida should be getting the top-end talent, right? The top-end dudes that are going to be NFL guys that just are – that belong on a different playing field from the rest of college football. Florida needs to have those dudes on the team. Dallas Wilson is clearly that guy. I mean, this dude looks like an NFL receiver right now.
He does. I'm trying to
The entire
temper
season is going to be man among boys, Hack. Show me a corner that's going to be able to guard him one-on-one on a regular basis.
Right. I'm trying to temper expectations, but I guess it's good and bad. It's good that he looks so good. It's bad that he did it to the Gator defense, although the Gator defense was without, I think, 3 or 4 defensive backs going to play a big role in the fall. So you got to take the good and the bad with that.
So I don't disagree, but I'm talking more so like I'm talking more and because you're obviously right. Like there's going to be a lot of factors that contribute to how good he'll ultimately end up being. Right? Of course. How well is he going to know the plays? Will he stay healthy? All that type of stuff that matters for every player. I'm just saying specifically, like when you talk about like the warm-ups, like the dude shows up on the field and you're like, and if you take somebody to a Gator game and you're sitting down close to the field and you're watching warm-ups and that dude doesn't watch Gator football and you say, show me the 5-star wide receiver, he's going to find Dallas Wilson and be like, that guy.
Right.
That's more so what I'm saying. Like those dudes in the past, Hack, those have been dudes I see in red and black in Athens. Those have been guys I see in Tuscaloosa. Those have not been guys I've seen in orange and blue lately. And Billy Napier, obviously this year's going to be make or break. Obviously, we kind of all agree that DJ Lagway and the hope he brings is the only reason he's even still the coach. A lot of us wanted him fired last year. We know he leaves a lot to be desired as a Saturday coach, at least as of now, and he's got to prove that stuff wrong. But in this realm, getting those guys, getting those dudes, I got to give him praise for that because they have more than they have had in quite some time.
Yeah, and Dallas Wilson was the star, but then I'm excited about Vernell Brown, Nashawn Montgomery. You got guys from last year. You got a couple like Aiden Mizell's, the guy that's been around for a while. They're expecting some things out of. You get Trey Wilson back from injury. I mean, that wide receiver room could be pretty good. Your offensive line is four-fifths of the starters are back. We talk about Jaden Ball, Jacoby Jackson. I mean, the offense looks pretty good on paper. The defense, we'll see. They had a lot of guys that didn't participate in the spring, but you have Caleb Banks, you have Tyreek Sapp. I'm really excited about L.J. McCray to see what he could do this year. Obviously, Pup Howard and guys like that. So there is certainly a lot of potential on this Gator roster. Final moments here of the Gator Bytes podcast. Southeast Orthopedic Specialist brings it to you every week here on the 1010XL.com podcast network. Thank you to Southeast Orthopedic Specialist for their continued support here of Gator Bytes. Graham, as we wrap up, don't know if we're going to do one next week. We might do one next Friday. The NFL draft next week. Probably not going to do one next week. We'll recap the draft. But as far as the Gators go, won't have a lot of names called. But Shamar James, Probably Montrell Johnson at some point, Cam Jackson at some point. Hopefully, a guy like Jason Marshall gets an opportunity. Won't be a lot of Gators, but they'll certainly have some that hear their name called next week in Green Bay.
Jeremy Crawshaw.
Jeremy Crawshaw, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see a
Brandon
few.
Crenshaw Dixon. I do think Cam Jackson, of all those guys, Cam Jackson, he could be a player in the league.
Oh God, yeah. You talk about every NFL team needs a big, gigantic defensive tackle that can just plug stuff up and cause issues for centers and guards, and that has Cam Jackson written all over it. I think Cam Jackson will be a really good player in the league. I totally agree. Montrell Johnson.
Shamar James will be a mid-round pick.
Where does Shamar? What kind of position does Shamar play in the league? I guess he'll be a Mike still, right?
Yeah.
Or is he going to be more of an off-ball guy? I don't really know where he fits. I'll be interested to see how he turns out. But yeah, I think probably next year is going to be some more draft stuff for the Gators. But I think Tyreek Sapp next year could be a first rounder, and
I think Tyreek Sapp, Caleb Banks, and then you have Austin Barber and Jake Slaughter. They'll have a lot of guys drafted pretty high next year.
Yeah, I want to talk really quickly, Hack. I knew you were moving towards the draft, but is LJ McCray the biggest X factor on the entire Florida defense? I mean, this dude was a 5-star right along with DJ Lagway. Didn't see a whole lot from his freshman season, but I need that guy to be a menace, right?
Well, they're relying on him to replace TJ Searcy and Jack Pyburn, so it's going to be a big year for him. He was a 5-star.
And I need him to be better than those guys ever were. This dude was a 5-star.
Yeah, agreed. Now, Pyburn was pretty good last year, so that's why
McCray. Pyburn was a good, like, high floor, low ceiling type of player that was always reliable, and he made plays. I'm not saying he didn't make plays. I'm not trying to make it seem like he wasn't. But he was more of just like kind of an old reliable type of player. I need LJ McCray to make plays. Little Hack, what's going on, dude?
Come here, Little Hack. You want to make your debut here without a shirt on? All right. Little Hack's hanging out. Little Hack,
are you a national champion?
Are you a national champion in college basketball? So you say go Gators?
Go Gators.
That's right.
All right. Very
yes,
good. All right. Well, through the magic of technology, I'm about to transform over to a Jaguar podcast here on a lot of these same channels. But quick, did you want to ask me something? I know we talked about it at the very beginning, or was it the LJ McCray thing?
No, it wasn't LJ McCray. It's going to take longer to talk about, so we'll talk about it next week or the next time we do a show. Quick programming note for Friday. I will not be here Friday. I get married next Saturday, so Friday I'll be tied up.
Congratulations. If it's the last time we talk on the podcast, congratulations. And next time I talk to you, you'll be a married man.
That's right. That's right.
He is Graham Marsh. I'm the hacker Ryan Green, and we got Little Hack. Gator Bytes Podcast, 1010XL.com, and the Florida Gator 1010XL Facebook page.